What's up, everybody? It's your favorite team finisher's favorite nerd, and today we are looking at the Heat Boys. Yeah, Heat Boys Donatello, on loan to me from Just One. He has loaned me all 4 of them, this being the 4th and final of the Turtles. I think they're doing others as well, but I'm not sure if Jisk is in on those. It is nice to kind of look at all 4 of them, feel kind of like the cycle is complete in some ways, so I am looking forward to getting this guy finished, so to speak, but in order to do so, we need to get started, and in order to start, we need to start with accessories. So we'll start here with this turtle shell, pad printed paint with the white on top, the 04 TMNT turtle shell designs, gold accents, 2 shades of brown, a couple pink accents. He has some pink accents throughout, which is surprising, but actually does it some justice, to be fair. And this opens up here, same as the others, has this piece that swivels around. You can put the little guy sitting in there. We'll take a look at him later. And then the silver and pink accents are inside there as well. Pad print and paint for the caution signs and the TMNT 04. So same sort of deal as before, equally as detailed, equally as elegant. And this will simply tab onto his back, same as the other 3. He comes with this little visor as well. The purple paint around the sides, gray, 2 shades of gray paint in the middle. We have the 2 types of eyes, the 3 red metallic, and then this more like bluish, a metallic blue there, some gray accents. You see these little clips. They'll come down and grab on to small pegs that are green and then sit on the face, and you can raise it up a bit. It's cool. It's a cool little feature. So he comes with this die-cast bar piece with the 2 ports in it and some nice sculpted detail. Much like the others, it has this portion of the shell that can be removed. Better if you have nails, which I do not at the current point. There we go. And then this can go in its stead. Now, once you have that removed, you have these 2 armatures. They're plastic, they're painted well, and sculpted well. And you can see there's ports that are pegs at both ends. And those can be applied to those ports in that metal piece that you just added. Now, obviously, there's 2 pegs at the other end, and you get a couple of different options here. You have this little like claw machine piece that opens and closes, painted and sculpted well enough. And you have this bit here, which is like a, I don't know, some sort of satellite with the silver and gold, as well as the red metallic bit in the end. And those can both be pegged into those armatures. Now, these armatures don't have to be connected to this die-cast piece back there. There's ports all over this guy. You can remove some covers and add it to the shoulders or wherever. This is just one of the options that's available. It's all kind of modular in that respect, where as long as it kind of fits, you can make it work. You know what I mean? He comes with this little turtle drone. This piece here can be removed. I did it before we started filming because it's a really tight fit, and I didn't want to look like a total idiot while I was showing you. It does have the TMNT 04 on there. The gold rings look good, the metallic blue, the 2 shades of brown, the gunmetal underneath. We have these like cannons here. This looks like, yeah, this hinges forward and back. The legs articulate side to side, up and down, and then there's a separate hinge as well, so you can kind of get this going, you know, whichever way you'd like. Obviously, you have this port, right? So it also comes with this accessory here, which has some pad printed paint, 2 shades of gray. You have the purple paint there. This piece comes up. Excuse me. These guns or barrels in here flip out. Tight little swivel, but they do. Then that'll close back up. And then, so real quick, you have this port here that can peg into the same thing that we just showed you with the 2 armatures. So that's an option. Or you can use one of these adapters, of which he has 2 of these identical ones. And you can plug one into the top of your drone and then plug this in on top. And now you kind of have this drone that can move around and shoot up some foot soldiers. Now inside, there is this little chamber here, which you can store this claw. I'm not sure if you can get it to sit nicely. It shows it storing in there in the instructions. I'm not sure that you can get it to sit nicely, but you can take this piece, plug this in inside of it. This is a bendy wire. You can then take this and connect it to this piece, and now the little turtle has a grappling hook as well, which is cool. And these are painted silver, and they articulate in and out. Once again, just a lot of like playability options. A lot of this stuff is just like the other stuff, is really, really, really well thought through. Now, you can also kind of fold up these arms, you know, and the gun, I guess. Or you can leave the gun out, to be fair. And then use your adapter once again. Plug it in to the bottom here, the bottom of the drone. And then you can use this peg on any of the ports that'll house it. We're going to use this one on the forearm, remove the gold piece, but you could use the one on the shoulder. There's some on his belt, on his shell there, etc., etc. And then plug this in, and now he kind of is carrying the drone, and also kind of has a shield, so it's a twofer, if you will. He comes with his bow staff. This is broken down into pieces. You get this one die-cast bar that does have some sculpt work in it. You have this adapter piece, another one of the adapters he comes with, and this slides over the bar. This allows him to hold the bow staff. And once again, man, it's a tight little fit. You know, like, I'm really reluctant to push it any further. You know, I don't want to. I don't think I will. And then this would go at the end of one, and then theoretically you would put this at the end of the other. Then you would use this tab in the palm of his hand to hold on to the bow staff. But once again, he holds it even well, just like with all the way at this end, but you're going to have to like lube this up, so to speak. He can do it there, and the claw actually can hold it as well, and it can tab into there. So up to you. But yeah, use caution because it's a tight fit. Now, you can also take these two adapters, one that's like kind of like a beer holding cup with a peg, and attach it to this kind of oddly shaped one. You can insert that on the side of the shell here. I'll reconnect this. And then this C-clip will hold this bow staff to store it. So not the traditional way to store the bow staff, which is a little unfortunate, but at least you can store it in a way on his back. And then he has this camo scarf as well with the digital camo pattern, which is good. You have two bendy wires. Actually, it's one bendy wire that goes all the way through, maybe. And then purple on the other side, which is cool. And then you just put this around his head, and then there's a little clasp here, and you just clasp it and then pose it. And I'll show you what that looks like. And there it is with a little look into that, which I think is fine. I don't think it detracts at all. And then we'll start moving into the artillery. He comes with this weapon. This closes down here, and there's a slot there that you can use, honestly, probably either one of these. Let me check and make sure that I'm telling you the truth there, because this is actually intended for something else. But yes, it'll work. But it shows this one in the instructions. They're like two clear plastic adapter pieces. Add that on, and then there is another section here that you can add on. I guess either way, honestly. You know, and then you have this kind of like souped up weapon, and then it's fully painted with the same sort of details we've seen throughout. You can use this armature here. You could tab that in to there. Once again, a really tight joint here, but now you have a peg here, and you can throw that on in place of the armature that was holding the claw, but once again, really tight fit, so I'm going to do it separately. Just a bummer that. Once the gun is on, you can Remove this little peg here. Once again, really tight fit. Doesn't add to the experience. Take that off. Use the other adapter, once again, like the 2 pegs. Peg that in. Bring out your weapon here. Open it up. Flip out the barrels again. Close it up. Attach that, and now you have another set of guns added on to those guns. Then he has the more sniper rifle type weapon, once again with the 2 grays painted on, the yellow accents, both pad printed and accents, and then the pad printed stuff there, gunmetal silver, outstanding. You had the bipod, we're bipeds. How to rotate down and then open up like that, which is nice enough. And then you have a couple of accoutrements you can add on. You have this scope here with the metallic red, the kind of like pearl blue there on both sides. That looks nice. That slides in that way. And then you have a magazine that you can also attach. And that, which way does that go in? I'm not a big gun guy. It slants towards the trigger. So, there. And there is room inside to put 4 bullets. You can load the magazine. I'm not going to do that, but you can do it if you'd like. And then you use the handle there with the tab in his fingers or his hand, and he'll hold it just fine. He comes with 2 additional magazines with the bullets kind of sculpted and painted in. You can use this adapter, load it in from the top, and then peg it into his belt. And you can do that to both sides. There's another port right there. I'm going to wait for the camera to focus. Another port right there where you can have both in there. And then much like the bow staff, you can take this adapter, put this down here, slide it up, and then take your armature, plug that in. Now you have the same peg that once again can plug into the side of the turtle. And he can store the weapon that way. Lastly, for this weapon anyway, I think I had this right. You can bend these arms back. You can insert this way though, only goes one way. Then use that same tab, come over to this gun, remove this, remove that, and then you have to remove the scope, insert this adapter, and then take this weapon, open up these sections. This will plug into the bottom of the gun. This will plug in to that, and then you can even close these up a little bit if you'd like, or leave them open, or even rotate these to the front and then close these a little bit more and have this like uber ultra mega weapon. And obviously he'll hold it the same way, but just another thing that is possible with this assortment. Real quick, one other thing about this weapon is you can actually like load and discharge the shells out of here from the magazine, but like I am not messing with that. That looks like a disaster waiting to happen. But you can if you'd like. And then his last weapon is this gun. Yellow pad printed paint, gray paint, silver paint. Looks good enough to me. And he'll hold that. Come on, let's finish strong. Just fine. So I'll take it. He comes with your sprues so that you can do your build-a-figure, build-a-van. You also get the sitting turtle that goes in his back, which we've already talked about. You get this green. You can switch it up. You can use different pieces, I believe, if you'd like to. All of them have come with it. He's no exception. Lastly, he comes with a display base. You have the Teenage Ninja Turtles done on there, painted up. You can take this off, store as many accessories as you possibly can within there. You have 2 different display options here as far as these poles are concerned. They both operate the same way, which is to say you screw them into the base, which is my personal favorite way to do so. It's very secure. And you have two different adapters here. One is flat, one is angled. The angled one will help with more of your jumping poses. The flat one will go better with this one for more of just your standing pose. And then you come around to his backside. I've already loosened this up. This is another one of those like tolerance issues. Remove that, exposes the port, and slide him on in, so to speak. And he's secured. Gimmicks wise, he comes with a slice of pizza. It powers the electronics. You can hold it up to his face and it'll light up the eyes. His eyes are painted though, so they don't have dead eyes, which is possible in spite of how many people in the comments refuse to admit that. And you can also light up this section with it, which will illuminate that red there if you have the batteries installed and everything. And we'll get in tight on the head sculpt for Dennis. Now, the head does come separately. You have to add it on yourself. I just chose to start with it added on so that we weren't looking at the headless turtleman to start the show. And it's fantastic, as you would expect. So the green is painted. The gray is painted. There's two shades of gray on the kind of bionics around his brow there. Then we have the two kind of red goggles here in the bag. He's about bloody eyes in the back of his head. The purple is painted, the gold is painted, the eyes are painted white, and then there's a liner between the mask and the skin tone of the turtle. All of that looks great. You have this antenna here. Be careful. I'm hoping that I don't break mine throughout this process. The head can raise up and then look all the way up for the most part, all the way down, side to side, confused Donatello look, so full range there. The neck itself is completely sculpted and painted, and I'm okay with it jutting out because it's a turtle, right? So it makes sense, and painted gunmetal. We have the torso. So we have the two shades of green, or three rather, and then we have this yellow shade kind of in the center with the white, some black accents along the way, some metallic blue, gold, purple paint, pink paint. Then we have our pad printed paint with our details on all of the sections there. Just absolutely stunning. You have this middle section that can raise up, and then that will let you engage the ab crunch, which is pretty significant. And then you have the turtle shell that you can lay out to protect the, well, not protect, but visually protect the aesthetic. Also, you can go from side to side with the teapot, and we have a waist swivel at a ball joint, it feels like, or it might just be a swivel, where the torso connects to the pelvis. So, not a single complaint on my end. Shoulders, we have universal joints. The shoulder pad is its own situation. And I would think that could get out of the way a little bit better than what it seems to. But still, you can get out to 90 degrees, so no issues there. And then 360 around, and a butterfly joint, or billified joint as we say here, and reverse billified joint with no problem. Then we have our kind of bionics, which are the two shades of gray. They match the chest plates as well, with 04 TMNT pad printed on, and then the purple accents. We have a bicep swivel, a double jointed elbow. The joint has some gold accents on it, so that gets you past 90 degrees. Two shades of purple with more pad printed paint and some gold accents. And then for the wrist, they swivel, they hinge backward. The fingers are individually articulated. The thumb is on a base ball peg to a secondary hinge. The fingers are on hinges that also can swivel back and forth and then have a secondary and tertiary hinge for fully articulated hands. Really well done. Moving on to the pelvis, we have the belt. We have some silver paint. We have some gold paint giving us silver and gold, and then some brown accents as well. The pelvis has this piece and that piece, which are painted kind of like a brownish color. And then we have the hip joints themselves, which are universal joints. Get you out for the full Van Damme. I'll back the camera out so we can get a full look. Forward and back to there, so more than you'll probably ever need. Thigh swivel. Did something break? Something did pop off. I don't think it broke, but it popped off. I'll take a look at that here in a bit. Double jointed knee. With that, some plates move around it. Both the knee plate down on the lower joint and the thigh plate down. The legs themselves had the 2 shades of green, the gold accents. All of that looks fantastic. Moving down the leg of the turtle, we had this little pink accent there. I think that looks great. Silver accents, 2 shades of green, pad printed paint. And I love the little handles with the little kneecaps. I think all that is cool. The ankles themselves, you get an ankle tilt down, an ankle tilt, not really up, but you do get a toe tilt down as well, and a slight toe tilt up, and a rocker. Little limited, but it's there. And there it is from the back. So beautifully painted, beautifully built, beautifully articulated, per usual. Nothing new under the sun here. Just this company doing an extremely good job at making toys. Size comparison wise, I don't have the other 2, you know, or the other 3 rather. So just to give you a little bit of an idea, there he is next to a standard 6-inch figure. So pretty decent size figure. I would say maybe 10-inch figure. Probably measure it for you guys. I think it might be worthwhile just to come in with a little tape measure there. Yeah, so about a 9-inch, 9.5. So I think all 4 in a detail would work, you know, with a couple risers. Like, I think that would actually end up looking pretty sharp. You just have to be careful with the amount of accessories you utilize, because that's what's going to take up the space. Look, I can't find my marker. My kids come down and take this stuff all the time. I'm still giving myself an 11 for this, because this would be no different than restoring it to how it came in the factory box. So like if something popped off a ball peg, to me it's no different. So I'm holding on to the 11 here. Final thoughts wise, let's start with the negatives. Some really tight spots, so to speak. Getting those armatures to go into the die cast, too tight. Getting the adapter to go around the bow staff, too tight. The ankle joints popped off 2 pieces. They were glued on. They could be re-glued. I don't know if this counts as a break or not. I'll leave it up to you guys. In my opinion, it's not a break, because it's not like anything is different when you put it back on. I don't know. Up to you guys. I'm down with saying it's a break too. I don't care. I'm flexible. But either way, it happened to both of my legs. So use caution with the feet, but also be aware that clearance-wise, they're not entirely designed well. And yeah, I mean, that's really all I have. It's just how the kind of tolerances affect the play. You know, how it affects the experience of manipulating it. That's really the biggest issue here. Moving on to the positives, this is one much like Leonardo where I feel like the elements that are true to the character come through in the mold. It ends up feeling like a very valid representation of who this character is, reimagined in some sort of mech suit. On top of that, the materials feel fantastic. The paint is awesome. Comes with accessories out the back door, all of which incorporate, if sometimes frustratingly, at least appropriately for the character. It's cool, man, and it's been a ride. You know, it's been a heck of a ride seeing this thing through to the end. All 4 turtles. But this is definitely my second favorite one after Leonardo. Then Michelangelo, and Raphael is my least favorite of the set. I don't know. Maybe Michelangelo's my least favorite. I go back and forth. But either way, this one is a solid one, and thus a recommend from me. Fully articulated, fully painted, good materials, decent build, sometimes a little overcooked, outstanding accessories, reasonable price, strong recommend from me. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. Until next time, take care.